Hello, everyone. Welcome to a slightly different episode of the Off-Grid Urbanist podcast. I just want to talk about something real quick that I saw earlier today. As you can see, this video by Christian Lanehart from 5 hours ago. As you can see, I've watched it, and I do suggest that you watch it as well. Or those of us in Colorado, are definitely interested in the Rio Grande plan. At least with regards to the future of Colorado's rail transport. You know, Utah is a good partner in this, and I really appreciate his channel, really appreciate his takes. I was excited to see this Salt Lake County um, votes to support it. I watched that video in its entirety as well. Really appreciate this guy's work. But in this most recent video over here, this video right here that I watched, he brought up a very good point, which is sometimes as rail fans, train nerds, transit nerds, urbanists, we jump so quickly to our solution that we sometimes forget that within the halls of government with subsidized projects or a project where you'd need some kind of state cooperation, that he brings up the concept of contaminating a project once you get your Department of Transportation to start a study. This is why it's really hard to get certain politicians and community leaders to sign on to projects, because they want to keep their options, or they want to keep their options open. Politicians want to keep their options open. They do not want to commit to anything until they know all the facts. And even if they do support your idea, they are aware of the process much more than us rail fans on the street, us transit nerds on the street. They know the inner workings of the halls of power, and they know even if your idea makes a lot of sense, and if inevitably that hopefully we hope that the best ideas win over, but sometimes they don't. And we don't want to hurt our chances. So in the spirit of kind of his video there, I just want to kind of call some attention to it. Like, watch that video. It's a really good one to kind of explain like kind of where the Rio Grande plan is. If you don't know what the Rio Grande plan is, I mean, I'd say watch the videos on his channel before you get my hot take on it. Basically, they're just trying to bring back the Rio Grande Depot in Salt Lake City. I have never ridden the Zephyr through Salt Lake City, nor the Front Runner. I've never even been to Salt Lake City. But from the videos I've seen and from what you can glean from Google Earth, one, the Zephyr arrives at a really weird time, and you kind of get dropped off on a bare bones platform in the middle of nowhere. For a while, they didn't have restroom access, I believe. But still, they have this beautiful depot that was kind of taken out of commission due to the Olympics in the late 90s. And they're trying to basically undo that damage and bring that depot back, and also solve. And one thing that Christian really hits on a lot, which I appreciate, is that he's always hitting on that safety factor. There's a lot of grade crossings with the Front Runner and with freight trains and the occasional Zephyr that rolls through. And they're definitely trying to solve that problem. But that's kind of what he hits at. You need to present problems, not solutions. It seems like a backwards way to do it, especially if you're an engineer like me. You want solutions first because we understand the problem. But most people don't understand the problems, and they don't understand why we should be paying for it. So this is definitely the tip of the iceberg of a much further video that I'll make down the line, kind of diagnosing the problems I see in Colorado with regards to transit. I can break it down into 10 reasons videos. I can do spotlights on certain issues. I definitely try with my channel to talk about the problems and do a little bit of side commentary, but at the same time, sometimes you just got to point out the problem and then explain why the solution you come up with. Explain, one, the problem exists, identify the problem, prove it exists, and then show your solution and how your solution addresses that problem. So just briefly, in some of these other tabs I've got pulled up over here, I wanted to show you kind of what the problem I see is. And this right here is a cool rail map that you can access through an organization called Greater Denver Transit, GDT. It has a lot of different interesting layers that you can see a lot of old rail projects and who owns the rails and what industries are active and who. It's very informative, and it has, of course, stuff like this, like the Pikes Peak Railroad, and there's the Royal Gorge route. We've got the Chama down here, Durango and Silverton there. Even over here in Idaho Springs, somewhere around here. Yes. You even got the Georgetown Loop. So we've got all these heritage railways that are running, but then you can also see kind of a very good snapshot of our network, very similar to the map that I have made. So we've got, our San Luis Valley down here. This would be where the Front Range corridor would be, since they want to use existing track. Up through Canyon City, you can see this is all active. Then we get to the Royal Gorge route, come up to Parkdale, and this is as far as the rail line gets before you get to the dormant section of Tennessee Pass, which travels all the way up through Bighorn Sheep Canyon. We go right through Salida. Browns Canyon's right in through here. Then we got BV. I've turned off the abandoned sections and the pulled up sections of track because it would just make me cry, honestly. I kind of have to look at what we still have. Then we come up to Leadville with the Leadville spur here, this branch. Topic for a future video, but Leadville's a tricky one to rope in because I will talk about the Leadville situation, but for right now we need to kind of assume that Leadville has a station near their downtown. But for right now, we're just going to assume that Leadville is as well connected to the Tennessee Pass as something like Salida is, where we've got downtown Salida right here, Tennessee Pass right there, still intact. Let's just assume that this is the Leadville situation. But moving up here to the northern end of the Tennessee Pass, this is the problem right here, I-70. From Denver down to Glenwood Springs, and if you want to extend that to all the way out to Grand Junction over here. This is the problem. Now, this mess, Eisenhower Tunnel to the east, we're not going to talk about that right now. That's just too much. This is later down the line. Up here, we've got where the ski train currently goes to Winter Park. But we're looking at this section right here. We're going to not even look down at Salida or BV. We are just going to look at Leadville over to Glenwood Springs, which is right here. This is our targeted section. So what is the problem and why is rail the solution? Well, in Colorado, we really have two problems. Mountains and people. Simple as that. As you notice, these rail lines tend to parallel where the roads are. It's usually because there was only one solution. They're going the same direction. They're paralleling each other the entire way. And actually, this section of Tennessee Pass through here up to this American Gypsum wallboard plant, that's still active. And you got the Eagle County Airport right here. But due to the geographical constraints of Colorado, rail has a interesting X factor going for it. Two X factors. It's called the X factor and the Z factor. The first X factor is that kind of the rail's already where it needs to be. The rail's already hitting all the major population zones if the rail's still there. Because everything's kind of, these mountains, this geographic chokehold forces very dense development clustered around the center of the valley, the only part where it's really flat. So this is all pretty dense development along here, especially when we get to some place like Vail. Very, very dense, nearly European level density. And you got all the whole resort side here, very walkable. But as you can see, as soon as you start going up the hillsides, development stops. It's just too steep. So The first X factor we got for any type of Colorado rail project is just the traffic patterns are already very well established. You're already heading in the same direction. You're not doing some roundabout way. You're going in the direction. And my Z factor, I'll call it, is just it's absolutely gorgeous. So anything you build is probably going to get ridership because if you build a commuter line, people are going to use it just to look at the mountains. But we're not all rail fans here. Some of us are very pragmatic about this. So saying that you're building or you're reactivating a rail line through a very pretty part of the country does not a transit service make. We're trying to solve a problem. The problem is I-70. The problem is people on I-70. The problem is weather on I-70. And there are the other things you can get into, like cost of living, emissions, cost of vehicle ownership, road hazards, road work, weather hazards. The list goes on of like all the additional things that you can go on. But the main problem is we have our roads. They are at or near capacity, and once the snow starts falling and the tourists show up, things go sideways. So let's look at some comparisons here. Right now, this is Glenwood Springs to Leadville, and I assume that since I'm doing this in the middle of August, that this is essentially summer conditions. And even there, you can see that we got a lot of blue, but then, we got some orange here, just normal problems. So let's move that back to where it was. Oh, I don't even know what I did there. Where's Control Z in Google Maps? Let's see if we can, does that actually work? Nope, it does not. All right, so let's just do that again without adding additional. All right. Interesting. Well, I don't know what it's really doing there. Hopefully you guys will give me some grace on that. Before, well, let's just cancel that out and do Glenwood Springs to Leadville. That's what we're looking for. Glenwood Springs to Leadville. There we go. Back where we were. I'm not going to touch it this time. An hour and 40 minutes, about 90 miles. Odds are you're going to come up on 24 through Gilman. And really interesting ghost town here. Really kind of creepy when you look at the history of it. It's kind of like a Silent Hill thing. And we got Red Cliff. But yeah, even in summer, we're looking at an hour and 40 minutes for 90 miles between Glenwood Springs and Leadville. Now, if a train traveling from Glenwood Springs to Leadville wanted to do that, it would have to maintain an average speed of about 30 miles, or no, it'd have to maintain an average speed of 60 miles an hour, not 30. Now, that might be possible on some sections of this, but I am just kind of guessing that a train would probably take to do Glenwood Springs to Leadville would be 2.5 hours. We could probably just add an hour onto that with stops. Now, assuming that, trains don't deal with traffic, this is fairly well grade separated. There aren't that, there are crossings through here. I did it again. But this is fairly grade separated except for once you get into Eagle and such, but that's when you're stopping and starting for the various stations that would be in Eagle County. Basically from the Dot Sarah would be a great place for a station. The airport, Eagle, coming down through here, probably have a couple through Edwards and Avon. One of the things that places we really want to have a stop would be right here. I'm going to talk about this in a later video, but that's the gondola for Beaver Creek. That's the Tennessee Pass. That's a slam dunk right there. Just put a platform right there, get off the train, head up to Beaver Creek. Done. Just like that. So Glenwood Springs to Leadville, sometimes driving will be faster. If it's winter, I guarantee you the train will be faster. So if we go down to here, we've got Eagle County Airport to Minturn. We're looking at 32 miles, 38 minutes, no traffic. Again, the rail line pretty much parallels this route entirely, so it's pretty easy for a rail line to be competitive. And this is an established traffic pattern. We've got this airport where a lot of people fly into to go up to Vail and Beaver Creek. And right here, we've got a rail line paralleling it all the way. It's already there. So we got these big ski areas right through here, right next to each other. Now, as I've shown you earlier, Avon, Beaver Creek, that's slam dunk. Just put a terminal or a platform right there. Done. Fail. Bit of a trickier situation. We'll talk about this later, but there are options. Whether you have a station here or in Minturn and then have a bus to go up I-70 because this is pretty steep. There's some other things that I'll get into that might start with a G that go up this Game Creek here, maybe. But already, you're kind of seeing this is a single line that's already going exactly where it needs to go. That's the problem we're solving. And these times, they're almost, they could be competitive. Now this is the real one. This is, I've driven this road. It's not Red Pass level scary, but let's just give a little overview from Minturn. We got a lot of these switchbacks going through here. It's tight, it's twisty. This section of road right through there, I guarantee there's not a traffic jam right here. That's just how fast you're going through here. This is where we've got that beautiful triple bridge. We've got a bridge over another bridge over the rail line down here. And don't worry, Redcliffe, I'm thinking about you. I think that you guys could throw in a platform right here. Mostly because, yeah, some people might say this community's too small. But I'd say, have you ever been to Redcliffe? Have you ever tried to get out of Redcliffe? It's a bit, either way you go, whether you go up this road here, that's the easier route. Or if you go through there, whew, it's gnarly. But yeah, Redcliffe, I'm looking out for you. Oh, you can see where's their bridge? Look at that. It's a beautiful bridge. Nice. But yes, we've got more switchbacks all the way up. And then we get up to here. We got Ski Cooper and a nice switchback all over the tunnel. And there's our Tennessee Pass tunnel right there. 3 stars. Wow. Historic landmark. Or not 3 stars, 4.3 stars, 3 reviews. Thank you for remembering our pass. So if we look at how twisty and gnarly the road is, and this is a pretty steep descent. And right now it's claiming 44 minutes, 30.3 miles. And again, that's like summer conditions. But if we look here at how twisty it is, now let's follow the rail line. So if you can see it there, which let's switch over to this. This makes it easier. So we already know how twisty that rail line is out of Minturn, or not the rail line. We know how twisty the road is. Let's follow the curves of this rail line. And yeah, we got some movement here. And this not super fast, but it's also not as tight. I mean, as long as you could maintain, I mean, I might sound like an idiot here putting a foot in my mouth, but that's what I'm here for. If you could at least hold 30 miles an hour going up this with a modern DMU set, and that's like average speed, an average speed of 30 miles an hour. There are some decent, straight sections, especially once you get through the tunnel, then it's a pretty straight shot. You still have to do this nonsense to get into Leadville, which problem for another time. But still, you're in a situation where going from Eagle, Minturn, Avon to Leadville, arguably, I'm definitely going to say it's safer than driving, given how gnarly this road is, especially in the winter. But it could even be faster because this is 44 minutes to go 30.3 miles. Versus what you could probably get from Minturn up to Leadville in an hour, maybe less. Maybe even less than 44 minutes, depending. I know it's a twisty alignment through here, but it's not really any worse than the road. Especially like I know this turn here, no one goes fast through this. And this is really steep, very, very steep. If you can almost see the change in topography through here, which is why we're going to go over here into Google Earth and kind of look at the same thing. Starting down in Glenwood Springs, you can kind of see why Colorado ends up with, European style density by accident. If the mountains weren't in the way, we would have urban sprawl here. But these mountains kind of force us to build in these tight constrained pockets. And the thing is that, we've got the road got a tunnel here. The rail line had to take a nice S bend. Because we always spend the money on the roads. This is the $1 million highway, or one of the multiple $1 million highways in Colorado, because even in the 50s, it was $1 million a mile. Because this is the classic part of I-70 that's like this offset double deck. It's kind of interesting, yeah. But we've got a rail line paralleling like literally one of the most roller coaster-esque types of highway, where we can't even build it, had to build it staggered. I mean, this looks like Mario Kart over here. It's ridiculous. So as we follow it all the way up here, wait for it to res up. Yeah, it's a pretty gnarly run. You get the idea. We come all the way, and then we got Dotsero, where this is where the rail line turns off to go to the Moffett sub, and we got the rest of the rail line heading down into Eagle County, following the Eagle River. Got our airport here. Again, it is conceivable that with the airport here, the rail line's right there. This is the airport. So, if you have some kind of shuttle service within the airport fence itself, where you get people from the terminal and, even if it's a bus that just drives them on airport property, and then you have, somewhere back over here in this area, you build a pedestrian bridge over the road. Got all this vacant land over here. All you need is a little spot for a platform, and that way you can get off a plane, walk or ride to the train and hop on and be on your way. Heading on this way, we got Eagle itself. Again, you can see the geographically constrained density. This is kind of all golf course. Golf course in a desert. Say what you want. I mean, it's Eagle County. What do you expect? Going up here, all this development right along the rail line. Coming on up, we got to make this turn over here. Coming down into Edwards and Avon. Again, we got the rail line right over here, and I've driven along this section here, yep. Coming on through here. We come right through, this is like where all the real estate developers are like, oh no, you can't reactivate the rail line, it'll destroy my property value. It's like, you're talking about primo transit, like right out your back door. I don't really want to get into how many platforms or stations we're going to have in Eagle County, but with all the suburban sprawl in America and how everyone says like the suburbs are really hard to build transit for, I mean, look at this. Look at this. It's right there. Even the stuff over here, not like get on a bike, come on down, it's right there. It's not too hard. Like this is the beauty of building a town in a valley. It forced you to do something like this. And now we're starting to get into ski area territory, where we got Avon and Beaver Creek all the way up here. And look at this. We even thought to have like, gondolas over here, so people could just over here just get up on this gondola, then bam, on the mountain. So we're coming down, railroad keeps coming down through here. And then we get into, kind of more Eagle Vale proper. This is really Avon right through here. But even then, here's that gondola. This is a prime candidate for a station to be squeezed in somewhere along here. Double tracked. Look at that. So much of the work is already done right through here, right in this dense area. Of course, Google doesn't think we're important enough to deserve pop-up buildings because we're not a big city. Then we got I-70. I mean, this is something else. It's like, look at this valley. Look at it. Look how wide it is. Look at all this development right here. Look how little real estate the rail line takes up. And look at how much real estate I-70 takes up. Just doing a rough estimation, if we were to do a cross-section from here to there, I-70 is taking up maybe 1/9, 1/8 of the width of the valley floor. And, this is probably 1/20th, 1/50th of the Valley 4. Look at the width here. Double tracked main line. I-70 right here. Tell me which one's more space efficient. And you know that this is, like, we are approaching Vail. This is some very, very valuable real estate, whether it's commercial or residential. This is very valuable real estate. Look at just the waste. I mean, I know, yes, there's this right here, but still, like, doesn't excuse I-70 or really highways in general for being such horrible uses of space as they are. So we're heading up through here. Oh, yeah, there's a couple of other opportunities for, and again, look at this. Look at the land waste. These parking lots. Ridiculous. Rail line. Parking lot. I-70. Housing. Like, what, how, if we just, this is very inefficient single-family home, American-style development right here. If we just copy and pasted that, we could probably take all of this, maybe all of this is equivalent to what's here. What's causing the housing crisis? You know, you could do this right there. Yeah. We can keep on going up. Starting to head out of Avon. All right, so this is where, you know, you can start to see the issues with pulling a rail line up I-70 further. It's not far. It is not far at all to get into Vail. Oh, look, Vail is fancy enough to get pop-up buildings, but Avon isn't. Look, we got, well, it's so fancy. Look at those graphics. But yes, you know, getting a rail station into Vail, I mean, if we were European or Japanese and took transit seriously with the Swiss playbook, they would look at this and say, why didn't you do this 50 years ago? The rail line's right here. I mean, it's a steep grade. I mean, I've heard the estimate is like from right here where the river is, where the rail line is, to up to Vail, about a 7% climb. Pretty tough. But, you know, if we wanted to, if we had the will, we could do it. And then Vail has a rail connection to an airport, and the local population centers. The mountains are doing the work of transit-oriented development for us. That's why doing transit projects in Colorado is kind of fun and interesting. But backing out of here, if we look over here, you know, the rail line does continue to Minturn, kind of sleepy. Yes, Minturn has some very nice homes in it, very nice downtown. Again, rail line's right here, right across the river. We've even got the old rail yard through here. This is where a lot of the helpers would be staged to push those freight trains up the pass. And just, this is a rail line that just, they kind of walked away and threw the keys in there, but look at that yard. What was it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tracks wide? Yeah. Again, you don't see that unless you're in Europe in a town this small. And there's even a Y here. Look at that. It's an old Y right there. So it is possible you could come up with some kind of situation where the Minturn station has a bus network, which they just send you straight back up. You know, yeah, I would love to have a rail station, you know, basically right in here. Get rid of this parking lot. Actually, this is a bus terminal right here. So yeah, basically somehow squeeze the rail line in here if you could. I will say, like, it's, you know, in Eagle, I saw some pretty big parking lots, and in Vail, where are they? Where are the big parking lots? Come on, they gotta be here somewhere. This might be too fancy for me, but yeah, there's still big parking lots in Vail. Obviously, there's one right there, and Vail's definitely doing a better job of, I think they know how valuable their land is. That's why there aren't as many parking lots, although, again, I think that's actually a parking garage. Yes, it is. Not a very tall one, but yes, that is a parking garage. And Vail does have good bus service. And if you just have a rail line dropping people off down here, and, you know, you even got some spaces here where, you know, you could build some kind of bus terminal here or right in through here in this little pocket. It'd be tight, but, you know, we could figure this out. We could do something where we peel off the rail line, put a bridge here, bus is here. Buses then start to head up I-70. That could totally be done. That could definitely be done. Alternatively, maybe spoiler alert, gondola up to the Eagle's Nest. I mean, not my ideal solution because I think people in the summer who want to go from Eagle to Vale want to go to Eagle to Vale, not Eagle to Eagle's Nest to Vale. But for skiing, that'd be fantastic because you get off the train and then immediately at the top of the mountain. That would sell tickets. I think this is about 4 miles here, and gondolas typically cost $10 million a mile. Maybe Vale would be interested. Who knows? But yes, if you had a train that dropped people off at a gondola station right here, and then they knew if they bought a train ticket or they have a rail pass, they get dropped off here instead of here. Well, maybe Vale doesn't get a rail station. They just get another gondola. And then the other side of this is like, well, would having a gondola here, and this is national park question, and blah, 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 complicated. But you could potentially open up a lot of more terrain in this backside of the mountain here. Not saying that's ever going to happen. It's probably more likely that if even a train happens, which I hope does, then we have buses pulling people into Vale. Still, you don't have to deal with the traffic. So now let's go up to Leadville, if any of you guys are still with me. We're squeezing up Leadville. Like, there's that switchback I was pointing up. And just, you can still kind of see where the rail line is. The rail line's, of course, 3% grade at times. But look at the road. The road that you would be not taking all the way through. This is that ghost town that got evacuated like overnight in I think the 70s or the 80s. Really creepy. But yeah, they think they found something in the water. So yeah, you get to go past a ghost town on your way up. But yes, you'd be riding these rails instead of driving this road. And even if it takes the same amount of time as driving, you get to sleep. Or you can crochet, or read a book, or work on your laptop through beautiful canyon scenery. And again, this is the road that we're trying to replace. We're not replacing. We're adding the option of, if you don't want to drive this for obvious reasons, and here's where that really red section is. It's kind of gnarly through. They didn't even. This is a bridge that deserves to be 3D animated on Google Earth. But yeah, you're riding the rails up through here. You go underneath the flat bridge. Go through Redcliffe, which I do think deserves a platform. You can put one right here, if they would want it. But yeah, imagine going to the grocery store when you live in a town this small and you got to go through this gauntlet every single time you want to go to a real grocery store all the way down to here just to get to Avon. And I'm sure you probably go past Avon because, well, it's a ski town, so the grocery store prices are probably inflated, so you're going to go further to Edwards or all the way down to Eagle itself. Or if you had a rail line from Redcliffe where you could get on a train in Redcliffe and go buy your groceries in Glenwood Springs, I'm sure that'd be a lot cheaper. And especially since you could probably do that entirely by walking. Just walk like this. I've been in this town. Yeah. Very, very small, very tiny. Just walk to the platform right there and get on a train and head up. Or go up to Leadville. Maybe it's faster and Leadville sometimes does have some things that are cheaper than you think they would be. Especially gas sometimes. Sometimes gas is cheaper in Leadville than it is in Salida or BV, which is weird. But yes, we've got this the highway here, and you can kind of see them paralleling each other. More nonsense, S-bends, and then you got the rail line. We're making our way up the Tennessee Pass. They kind of level out up here where we get to the this is an old memorial. What is this here? That is the Camp Hale. Yes, Camp Hale. But the rail line comes up through here, and like there are some sections of this rail line where, it does get straight for a section. You can get back some speed, especially when it's snowy. Okay, so now we're back paralleling each other, coming up, coming in through here, looking good. But then we got the tunnel, and I think it's about a half mile long. And the road, of course, does an S-bend, but the rail line goes right through it. And now we're out on this side. Now we're really in the races. Open up that throttle. Get going, come along. Go underneath the 24 here. Down on our straightaway. Get going. all the way. This is where our turn is. Again, nice little staging yard. We got our turns here. This could all be refurbished. And for right now, we're just going to Leadville, so we're not going to consider anything further down than Leadville. Leadville's our end target. Yeah, we have to throw around a turn here. We work our way up. A little bit of a turn back there. Bam, bam. Coming all through here. And the tracks exist to right there. That's where they stop. So, not that I want to put a station here. I'd want to somehow get it further into downtown Leadville. But considering how much the work is already done, I think it could work out. So again, with kind of the theme of this video, reset to north. There we go. It's like, what's the problem? What problem are we solving? And man, there we go. The problem that we are solving is that this is a geographically constrained linear corridor that has got great urban density. It's very popular. We got Vale right here, and we're trying to get Vale a train. We're trying to get people off of I-70. A lot of people work at Vale that have to live where it's cheaper, living this way, even up in Leadville. We're trying to get the workers to the mountain. We're trying to burn less carbon. We're trying to take cars off the road. We're trying to make roads safer by taking cars off the road, and also the less cars you have on the road, well, the longer the road maintenance lasts, because Colorado has 2 seasons, winter and road construction. So if we can reduce the vehicle miles driven, then we can make our roads last a little bit longer. And maybe it's possible that with a rail system like this, people who are struggling to live in these small mountain towns might be able to go from a 2-car household to a 1-car household. That's the problem we're trying to address. We're addressing climate, we're addressing social equity, we're addressing workers and commutes, and the bottom line, how much money are you spending on gas? How much money are you spending on your own vehicle? And we have a situation where I think the ridership here could be strong. I mean, and also the other thing is that we really need to sell this as a passenger corridor only. I mean, as you saw from that line, yeah, it's probably possible that a train can make it from Minturn to Leadville, a passenger train, pretty quickly. But the Tennessee Pass does not lend itself to freight operations. That's why they stopped running freight trains in 1997. That yard down in Minturn, with all these banking engines, or the Brits call them banking engines, we call them helpers. Most of the Class 1 railroads do not like to do banking engines anymore. They'll just throw a bunch of locomotives on something. But even then, the Tennessee Pass, even in the late 90s, where you're running relatively modern power compared to the first generations of diesels, they still needed banking engines because, it's 3% when the freight railroads consider 2% steep. So when Union Pacific and the merger with SP and the Rio Grande and all that stuff, I mean, they inherited the Tennessee Pass. They didn't really care for it. They didn't really respect it. It wasn't theirs. They didn't build it. And they just kind of ran it, and they're like, this thing's more trouble than it's worth. Mothball it. But thankfully, level heads have prevailed, and it's still here. It's still intact. There's a lot of reasons for that. National security. Technically, it's supposed to be there for monopoly rules, because Union Pacific kind of owns a monopoly on east-west traffic through Colorado, even though they own the Tennessee Pass. And if the Tennessee Pass went up for sale, truly for sale, BNSF would buy it in a heartbeat, because they want to be able to stick it to UP in the way how only the Class 1 corporate railroads can. But yeah, this is just why I wanted to kind of address the problem, revisualize it in a better way than I did in my past map video. And yeah, Rio Grande plan, check out this. Please watch this video. But I'm trying to follow his cue here of address the problem, or define the problem, and then propose your solution. And the problem is mountains and people wanting to get from point A to point B, and there's only one way to do it. You can't build a superhighway any bigger. I mean, I-70 is at capacity. You can't really throw any more lanes here. I mean, even if it is the most inefficient use of land in the valley, it's for the Eisenhower Tunnel. You're not widening that. And eventually, yeah, we'll get to the rest of this, I-70 problem. But this is our first step. This is our, no offense to Tennessee Pass, this is our low-hanging fruit. This rail line's already on the ground. We just need to get the communities to cooperate, see its value, see its potential, understand that this isn't a tens of billions of dollar high-speed rail project. This is more of a couple hundred million, revive what's already there, get a service spun up. Yeah, you got to build some stations and some platforms, get some rolling stock, do some track maintenance. Yeah, it's not easy, but what are our alternatives? Um, it's not like you're going to be adding more lanes to I-70 anytime soon. And we have an opportunity here to do something. Start looking a bit more like Switzerland, which I consider to be the gold standard for mountain transport. We're not going fast. We're not trying to be like the Japanese and build a tunnel through mountain ranges and run a 300 mile per hour maglev. No. I mean, that'd be cool, but let's see if we can get the political will together to do something like this, and then see what more we can do with it and address the rest of the I-70 problems. But this is an easy win. This is something that can compete with cars, improve road safety, and hopefully allow people to spend a little bit less money each month. So anyway, take care, guys.